Don Rickles really did not like this person all more than anyone else he met in Hollywood. This is very clear when you look at the life of Don Rickles, a man who made a career out of pretending to hate people and insulting them. Don Rickles, also known as Don Rickles, was born as Donald J. Rickles on May 8, 1926 in Queens, New York. Rickles came from a life and became a really famous comedian and actor. He is one of the famous comedians of the 20th century. Rickles performed in places, and his work was liked by a lot of people. Rickles grew up in the Jackson Heights neighborhood. His family was Jewish. They liked to tell jokes and be funny. For Rickles and his family, humor was a part of life. It helped them get through times and feel close to each other. Rickles' father, Max Rickles, had a job selling insurance. This was a job, but it was not very exciting. Rickles' mother stayed at home, took care of him. She loved her son much and wanted to make him happy. She knew a way that Don was a really funny guy and could talk his way out of anything. Don had a way with words. That is what people remembered about him. Even when Don was a kid, people said he talked fast and thought even faster, and he always used jokes to get people to notice him no matter where he was. After Rickles finished school, he went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts for a little while. At that time, comedy was not what he really wanted to do. Rickles wanted to be an actor, maybe on Broadway or in big movies. He liked how serious actors could be really good at playing roles. Rickles thought he could be good at saying speeches, not just telling jokes. It did not take long for Rickles to figure out that this was not really what he was good at. The man had a way of talking fast and noticing things that others did not see. He also had a time not making funny comments that were a little mean. These things made it tough for him to be serious for long. The things that made him stand out, like being a bit disruptive when he was learning how to act, would eventually be what made the man great at what he did. The man did not get to finish his education, but by that time he already had ideas about what he wanted to do with his life, and comedy was something that the man was very interested in, and the man would later become a comedian, and the man would use these traits to become a great comedian. Rickles' life changed a lot when he was in the United States Navy during World War II. He joined the Navy, was on a ship called the USS Cyrene in the Pacific. This experience was big for him. The war had an effect on Rickles, like it did on a lot of young men at that time. It taught him to be disciplined and to be strong. He also learned what it means to be scared and to have friends who care about you. These things helped him with his comedy on. When Rickles came home, he had a hard time figuring out what to do, just like a lot of other veterans. The world was changing fast, and it was tough for Rickles to find his place in it. Acting jobs were hard to find. A lot of people wanted them. Rickles started working in nightclubs because he really wanted to be an actor. When he was waiting for a chance to act, Rickles would tell jokes on stage. He would make fun of people who were being rude to him or come up with insults when something did not go right. Rickles did this to fill the time. It was all about Rickles trying to be a better actor. So Rickles was doing these shows at nightclubs. That is when he figured something out. People were laughing a lot more at the things he said on the spot than at the serious lines he had practiced. When someone would interrupt him, he would say something back and it would make people laugh really hard. It felt really good. So he started to focus on being funny of acting. This is what he would do for the rest of his life. Rickles was different from comedians back then. They would plan out their jokes, practice them a lot. Rickles did something new. The man walked on stage, started yelling at the people watching him. He made fun of what they looked like, what they wore, what they did for work, and how much money they made. He did not leave anything alone. For some reason it was okay. The people in the audience. It was not because they were upset. They laughed because they could tell that the man who was yelling at them was actually a person, even if he was being very mean. Rickles was the guy who started it all with insult comedy. People called him Mr. Warmth, which is pretty funny because it is the opposite of what he did. In a weird way it fits. He would say some sharp things, but he said them with a smile and a lot of energy, so people felt like they were in on the joke. Rickles insulted everyone the same, whether it was the waiter or a big movie star. He treated everyone equally. That is what people liked about him. One big moment in his career was when Frank Sinatra went to see him perform in Miami. Sinatra was a big deal in the entertainment business. Most people in the business looked up to him. Rickles was different. He would make fun of Sinatra, tease him when he was on stage. You would think Sinatra would get mad. He did not. Sinatra loved what Rickles was doing. He liked that Rickles was not afraid to speak his mind and be himself. Because of this, Sinatra and Rickles became friends. Sinatra and Rickles really enjoyed each other's company. Sinatra's endorsement was a deal. It really changed everything for Rickles. Sinatra introduced Rickles to famous people and helped him get into places that he would not have been able to get into otherwise. Rickles became a face in Hollywood. He was on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson a lot. He was really good on the Dean Martin celebrity roasts. People loved watching him on these shows because they wanted to see who Rickles would make fun of next. Rickles was known as a comedian. He still did some acting. He did not give up on acting even though he was really good at making people laugh as a comedian. Rickles kept doing what he was good at, which was making people laugh and also acting sometimes. He was in some serious movies like Run Silent, Run Deep in 1958. He worked with Clark Gable and Burt Lancaster in Run Silent, Run Deep. This showed that he could do a job in serious roles. He also did some movies like Kelly's Heroes in 1970 with Clint Eastwood. In Kelly's Heroes, he was funny. Also did some action. This was a mix for him. In the 1970s, Rickles was in a television show called CPO Sharky. He played a petty officer in the U.S. Navy. This guy was really sarcastic. Rickles was able to use his time in the military and his funny way of making jokes to make this character. People really liked watching him. He would often go on talk shows. The hosts of these shows were a little scared of him because they never knew what he would say. At the same time, they really liked having Rickles on their shows. When Rickles was around, nobody was safe from his jokes, not the person running the show. Yet beneath the insults, there was a deep professionalism and respect for the craft of entertainment. Rickles' career got a boost in the 1990s and 2000s. This happened because he did a voice role as Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story movies made by Pixar. The Toy Story franchise is really popular. Rickles' role as Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story franchise introduced him to a lot of people who liked him. These people might not have known about his stand-up comedy work. He was very good at making people laugh with his way of talking and his comedic timing. This worked well in animated movies. Even when Rickles got older, he kept performing. He did shows in Las Vegas, all around the country, until he was in his 80s. Rickles never changed his act to please people who like things away. He kept doing what he did best, which the Toy Story franchise and his stand-up comedy, including his role as Mr. Potato Head. He believed that people got that his jokes came from a place from affection, not from being mean to others. He trusted that audiences understood his humor came from affection, then cruelty. On March 14, 1965, Rickles married Barbara Sklar of Philadelphia. This marriage was really something. It lasted for then 5 decades, which is a very long time. People in Hollywood do not usually stay married long. Rickles was a man on stage. People called him the Merchant of Venom because he could be very mean with his words. When he was not performing, he was a totally different person. He was very kind and gentle. Rickles often said that he did not have a lot of luck with romance. He thought this was because he was very good at making jokes, and this could be scary for people who did not know him well. When he met Barbara Sklar, Rickles was 38 years old. He had never been married before. What really drew him to her was not that she thought he was great, but that she did not care. The fact that she was not laughing at his jokes and was not impressed by his name was really interesting to him. He liked that she was a person, and that made him like her even more. The thing about her that he found so attractive was that she was not trying to be someone she was not, and that she stayed the same no matter what. That was really something special about her. The couple had 2 kids, Mindy and Larry. Mindy wanted to be an actress, so she acted. Larry worked behind the scenes as a producer for movies and shows. Something sad happened when Larry got pneumonia and died at the age of 41. This made the family very sad. They never really got over it. Rickles was a man who made people laugh for a living. Losing his child, Larry, was a very sad thing that he could not talk about. With all the sadness, family was still very important to Rickles. He really loved talking about his grandchildren. They did not see him as a comedian who insults people. To his grandchildren, he was the voice of Mr. Potato Head. He would joke that all the things he did were not as important as a toy that could talk, a talking plastic toy, Mr. Potato Head. There was one actor who really got to him. That was Denzel Washington. The people who knew Rickles well said that Denzel Washington was the one person who really annoyed him. Rickles loved to see how people would react to his jokes. His comedy was about making people laugh, seeing them smile, or at least laugh at what he said. Rickles needed to know that people were paying attention to him and his jokes. Denzel Washington was one person who did not give Rickles the reaction he wanted. Washington was a person. He always acted in a way, and he had a lot of dignity. Washington did not laugh often, especially when Rickles made jokes about him. He just did not think that kind of thing was funny. Washington was a man who liked to be serious. He did not like it when people made fun of him like Rickles did. Rickles got really frustrated when he did not get a reaction from someone. Washington was very calm and quiet, like a wall that Rickles could not get through. Other famous people would laugh at Rickles' jokes. Washington just stayed calm. This bothered Rickles a lot, not just because it hurt his feelings, but because it affected his work. For Rickles, comedy was about making a connection with people. When someone did not laugh or respond, it felt like they were rejecting him. People who knew Rickles said that whenever they mentioned Washington's name, Rickles' voice would change. Comedy for Rickles was about connection, and Washington's silence was a problem for him. The funny part was, now Rickles had a sharp tone that showed he was really annoyed. People said that Rickles would joke with his friends that Washington would not crack a smile even if someone paid him to do it. He said Washington was still as Mount Rushmore, which is a big deal because Mount Rushmore is really serious and quiet. Rickles thought Washington was like that all the time, never laughing or showing any emotion. Rickles was buried at Mount Sinai Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles, where a lot of famous people in entertainment are buried. When he died, it was the end of a part of our past, but people still remember him today. Rickles stayed popular for a long time because he never tried to be someone else. He performed in nightclubs with a lot of smoke. He was even in cartoons. Rickles did many things that people of all ages like. His life shows us that being funny and being real is very important. Though he built his career on insults, Don Rickles will always be remembered as a man who loved deeply, laughed loudly, and left an indelible mark on comedy and culture.